Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee joins us now for his weekly check-in that we have begun to colloquially refer to as Breakfast with Burchett. I'm going to be honest, every week something new seems to pop up before our conversations. This was slightly unexpected. What's going on, man?
I don't know. It was Claudia Grisels. She's you can follow her Twitter. She actually tweeted about it. C. Grisels. I think it has like almost 8 million views on her Twitter or X account or whatever you want to call it. We just standing out there after conference, and I always I talked to the press, and she was interviewing me, and I fell forward, and after Kevin popped me in the back, and and then he just kept walking with his security detail, and it's just a sad commentary on him and his spiraling.
Can I ask you about that
leadership?
And
Sure.
You're referring, Claudia is an NPR reporter. We were playing her sound as the congressman notes. She's on Twitter. She's a great reporter. Whatever has happened between you and the former speaker, in part because of you, does it just go back to when you thought he was being condescending in a phone call before you voted to oust him? Is there something deeper here? Why are you at this point with him right now?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's really a bizarre thing that just happened. I'm sure right after he did it, he regretted it, and I've moved on. I've got no vengeance towards him. I prayed for him this morning, as a matter of fact, because I know he's hurting, even though he does have $17 million in his account to play mischief in everybody's campaigns, which he's frequently said that he'll do. So it's just a sad commentary on his life, and I'm sorry for him. I really am. I feel sorry for him because this is not the way to go out.
Would you like to see him leave and resign?
I don't care what he does, really. It doesn't matter. The sooner he leaves, though, the sooner he'll be making 7 figures being a lobbyist. I mean, let's be honest. He's not going back to Bakersfield. Let's just be honest about that. He'll be lobbying up here and making big money. And that if he feels like he doesn't have a shot back to the speakership, and I suspect after Mike Johnson's deal last night, he won't be back.
I want to ask you about the new speaker and what happened yesterday in a second. But quickly, I want to go back to a conversation we had out in front of the Capitol shortly before Kevin McCarthy was ousted, where you talked about that phone call that you thought he was condescending in terms of when you were talking about how you were praying over the vote. I want to play what you said.
I've got a recording of what was said. It was.
Oh, you recorded it?
It was but it was between us, and but the conversation went on in a belittling tone.
The reason I swing back to that is, one, you haven't given me the recording yet, which is to some degree frustrating. And you're more than welcome to at any point. But two, You clearly had an idea or had some issues leading into that phone call that made you want to do that. What was that?
Yes, I did.
What made you want to do that?
Well, obviously, us taking off 6 weeks prior to the budget. They're saying, well, Mike Johnson just had 2 weeks. Well, Kevin McCarthy had since January, and he waited to the last 2 weeks. And we took off August through September, 2 weeks into September. So 6 weeks right up to the budget deadline of September 30th. And then when I asked him about it in that phone conversation, well, he said, well, that's Steve Scalise's job. He sets the calendar. And, it was just always somebody else. And I said to him, do you think Nancy Pelosi would have said that? Heck no, she knew where every paperclip was up here. And it just got to the point. I mean, he was on the news, he was on the Twitter, he was on everything else, meeting with the superstars and everything, but he needed to be here leading. And that's what we need in this country. We need leadership. And frankly, he wasn't giving it. And then when he demeaned me I said I was going to pray about it. I said that on CNN, and I guess he saw y'all. And I don't listen. I'm a born again Christian. I'm not apologizing for that, but I'm not out proselytizing. Some of my best friends up here are not of the Christian faith,
right?
And I love them dearly. But I'm responsible for my wife and my daughter and myself, and that's it. And and then for him to belittle that to me, I just showed his character. And then yesterday in the hall, I think that was the cherry on top as far as his character, rather. And it's just a sad commentary on him and not on Congress and not on the Republicans.
I do want to ask you before I let you go. The House passed a 2-step CR. You are very opposed to CRs. You've made that repeatedly clear. Tell me why there won't be more CRs come January and February.
Well, I don't know that there won't, but Mike Johnson, I support Mike Johnson. I just don't support the CR. He had 2 weeks to cobble something together, and that was as close as he could get. And the staggered approach, they're not forcing it down our throats all at once. And so that will allow us more discussion on the issues, and I think the public will see that instead of just one conglomeration of this massive trillion-dollar spending extravaganza that we go on every year at taxpayers' expense. And he understands that we're $33 trillion in debt, and he also understands Jody Arrington chairs the budget committee, and he said more than once publicly, we need a budget. And that is exactly what liberals and conservatives should ask for, because here's what happens. You pass these humongous budgets, and nobody knows what's in them except for the lobbyists and the leadership in both parties. And they all get up there and fight and, and bruise each other. But the reality is all they see is green. And that's why the American public needs a budget, liberals and conservatives, so we know exactly what's in that dadgum budget.
It'll certainly be.
That's what we need.
Yeah, and it's certainly going to be the discussion when you guys get back from recess. I think everybody needs to go on recess. Congressman, we always appreciate you in these conversations. Again, my inbox is open for that tape. If you ever want to pass it along, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Have a great Thanksgiving, brother, if I don't see you.
You too.